Welcome to ecotopiaumedia. I'm your host, Melissa McGinnis, joined by my co-host, Tom Wright, and we have via Skype the brilliant Dr. John Fagan with us today. Nice to see you again.
Great to be here. Thank you.
The last time we spoke to you, we really went through the process of GMO farming, and we all agreed that it was a triple fail. So tell us, what are the alternatives?
Well, what we need, if you look at genetic engineering, GM crops, they are like an added widget, They're like another, a plug-in for your no computer. Well, this is a plug-in for the chemical agricultural system, for the industrial agricultural system. It's another element that supports it, and in fact, it's the most extreme aspect of chemical agriculture, industrial agriculture. The alternative to this is to come back to what we know about nature. Now, I know you guys are in California, and there's a great man that was a native of California, and there's a forest of redwoods named after him, John Muir.
Yes.
And he said something very beautiful. He said, if you reach out and grab a hold of any little piece of Mother Nature and give it a tug, you'll discover that that one thing is connected to everything else in the universe.
The word he actually used is hitched. It's hitched to the universe, yeah.
Every time I say it, it comes out a slightly different way. Hitched. It's a beautiful. Explore California.
And more, yeah.
And so, but the key thing is that as long as we're thinking of agriculture as being like an assembly line or a factory where you put water and fertilizer and seeds and things like that in over here, and then you get product out over here, as long as you do that, you're not going to have a system that's going to be sustainable, that produces good food for people, that is good for the environment, that's even good for the economy. You look at farmers today, and their lives are ruled by the commodity markets, and it's a disaster because of that. There's no stability in their lives because of that.
It's a rush to the bottom.
Yeah, it is. It's a rush to the bottom, and the farmer always loses because they're at the far end of one of those chains, So we need to have a more holistic, integrated system, a system that takes into account that if you pour a Roundup on the field, it's going to kill the microorganisms that make the soil fertile, And if you grow one crop all by itself on 50,000 acres on in the plains of Argentina, the pampas of Argentina, you're going to get diseases that you would never see in a small integrated agricultural production. So that's what we need, and there's a name that's been being used for a few years now for this kind of agriculture, and they call it regenerative. In fact, self-regenerative. It's capable of sustaining itself forever if it's done properly. That's how agriculture should be done. And it's
what are some of the principles of this regenerative agriculture?
First of all, is that you think in terms of systems. You think in terms of not just systems, but the holistic systems of our world, and consider agriculture in that context. And when you begin thinking on that level, you realize, and you see what agriculture is capable of doing, you realize that it can be a huge solution for some of our biggest problems. For instance, climate change, global warming. This is the biggest problem that humanity is facing right now. If we allow climate change to move in the direction that it's going now, human beings will no longer have a niche on this planet. Life will go on, but we won't be part of it. So we have a choice. How do we change that? And it's an urgent choice. it turns out that agriculture is contributing around 50% of all the carbon that is being, you know, expelled into our,
Emitted, yeah.
it comes from agriculture. Now, what if we were
Now that's both because of the physical use of fossil resources and because cows fart? Is this the combination?
well, the farts are part of it, a minor part.
Yeah.
You know.
Minor part, okay.
But this is looking at everything from clearing land by burning, you know.
So disrupting the nature of the drawdown.
Right.
So the inability. Go ahead.
But the most critical thing is the use of fossil fuels and fossil carbon resources. All of those pesticides and herbicides and fertilizers are made from either natural gas or petroleum of some sort. And so when you go to the grocery store and you buy this thing that looks like a summer squash and you take it home, well, actually, you know, you're eating petroleum. That's what the reality is. For every calorie of food that's produced in these systems, there are 10 calories that are of petroleum that are used. 10 calories of fossil carbon that are consumed.
So that's where that carbon footprint comes from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so
okay.
At the same time, if agriculture is done right, it doesn't generate carbon, it fixes carbon. And it can actually, the calculations have been done showing that if you use these sustainable agricultural approaches, you can fix more carbon than you use, and in fact, draw the carbon back down from the atmosphere into the soil. And this can be done through proper management of livestock and proper management of the agricultural processes, you know, the cropping processes themselves. And this is agriculture that can not only be regenerative in terms of the local farm, but can regenerate our planet through bringing the carbon back. And there are so many other aspects of the system that are beneficial, because when you take these sustainable approaches, every level of the farm ecosystem is benefiting, even down to the farmer's own financial security and everything on that level. So the welfare of the farmer is improved, the welfare of the land, the biodiversity of the ecosystem as a whole. And so these are the things that we need to do. And the tools are there. We don't have to invent anything new. We don't have to do anything that isn't known. It's just using the knowledge that's there right now. And
I think it's doing the right thing. I mean, it's the right process, the right order of things. Like you mentioned the Muir quote, I don't think a lot of people understand that farming, even if it's in the middle of America, it all goes downstream to our oceans. So not only we're polluting the earth, but we're also polluting the waters.
Absolutely. So there are these huge dead zones in the Gulf of Mexico, and also in the Caspian Sea, and what's the other one up in that area? But they're
the Black Sea.
Black Sea. They're dead because of these things, and you find these dead zones around the world because of the agricultural runoff.
Because we're all hitched.
We're all hitched. Now, in terms of the, I don't want to use the word impediment to sound negative, but since there is this solution out there for drawing down significant amounts of carbon, what are the impediments preventing us from doing the right thing? I don't mean that in a negative sense, but it just seems like you and I and Melissa are having this conversation, and the three of us, it's the transformation in a sandbox that I'm worried about. I don't know if you've ever heard that metaphor.
Why aren't we doing it in the correct way?
I've got a theory about it.
Okay.
And it's a matter of whether we really, really care. And here's the thing, is that each of you and I have known for 2 decades that global warming was happening. And we've also known that our agricultural system is a big contributor to the problems on that level. But we haven't, it hasn't become immediate to us as human beings. We need to understand it on that level. And I think that what the link that's been missing is for people, the environment is sort of out there. People's own health and personal welfare and the welfare of their children and grandchildren is much more immediate. And therefore, people buy organic food because they know it's healthier for them, okay? People buy non-GMO food because it's healthier. That's what's driven it, is that people have been able to make a choice about whether this tomato is organic or non-GMO, and this one isn't. And they've chosen the non-GMO one because they can distinguish it. But the fact is that you and I, in fact, nobody in America is capable of distinguishing whether, you go to the store, you buy this beautiful head of spinach, you take it home, you think you're taking spinach home, but you're also taking home carbamates, methimidofos, and maybe 6 other pesticides. Those are not recognized as ingredients in those things. If a mother knew those were on that spinach, she would not buy it.
But not only know, also know how bad it is,
Exactly.
it's cancer causing. It's the link we read with the glyphosate being linked to autism. If we knew what the damage was really being done, maybe that's more of a proponent for change.
Absolutely. And so what we need to do is to expose the fact that these things are that chemical industrial agriculture is making food whose one of its key ingredients is poisons.
Poison.
And make it very clear that these things actually do harm your health. And all you have to do is look at the general health of the American population.
Well, I mean,
there are many reasons for it, but one of them are these toxins.
Yeah, it is surprising. I mean,
It's like we're guinea pigs.
Well, there's a little bit. I mean, people's expectation of the price of food, basically, I use the word cheap in a derogatory manner. Okay, people want cheap food, and then they complain about healthcare costs, and it seems to be the wrong economy, right? It would be better to pay twice as much for food, and we pay a lot less for healthcare costs.
I think our next visit should be that we list the chemical and what it does to your body.
Yeah.
Let's get the information out there. I don't have it. I know that cancer's up, 40% in the last 10 years.
But can we, John, be honest about this? I mean, if I'm off base, just say so. Isn't it true if we went to a regenerative model that, it's implicit in the industrial model to me. I'm an economist by training, okay? It's implicit to me that the industrial model is done with fake books. They have a set of books that says they produce things at X dollars, and that X dollars isn't the true cost.
Right.
And so they go to market, and we get used to the cheapness of it when it's not really cheap. If we went to a real regenerative mode, we'd have to have more labor. Wouldn't it be more labor intensive and less fossil intensive?
There would be more labor. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that would raise the real price, and the farmer would make a real living, and we would pay twice as much for food. But then you'd hear a cry from the public, "You're gouging me," and I find it unfortunate that that's what would happen. But I'm not saying it to be controversial. I'm saying it to go to the following point.
Yeah.
Do we need to teach people that we need more farmers and more, Wes Jackson's metaphor is eyes per acre. We need more people who care about the methodology of range lands, farming, even forestry. I mean, of all the green cell production, forestry and rangeland are much larger than actual farming.
Oh, yeah.
And so, anyway, what do you think of my thesis?
It's true. It's true. We
Okay.
need that. And the question is, what is the lever that's going to make that happen? And my current hypothesis is that getting mothers to realize that there are poisons on the food they're taking home to their children, and realizing that they have a choice to buy something else, and yes, it's going to be more expensive. And what will happen with that is that it will support an expansion of that safer, regenerative, organic market. And over time, the price differential will not be so big. And then there's the other factor, which is that, you know, with the depletion of petrochemical, or with petroleum, with the depletion of that, and it's going to continue for the next many decades, the cost of the chemical inputs is going to go way up to the point where even the
Cheap food will be
the
expensive.
simple.
Well, you know, but I swear it's they have two sets of books, or there's one set of books, the Wall Street books, and then there's the real books on society, the real cost to society and nature.
Right.
And they're not correct. They're not. I mean, this one is subsidized, and the subsidized books are what drives American perception.
Right.
And unfortunately, even the mother, I mean, for instance, I've suggested, I've done this at EcoFarm, I've suggested that we stop calling it conventional agriculture and we call it chemical agriculture. And because conventional is like not really saying the truth again. It's not conventional, really. It's the industrial era's methodology.
Right.
No, I agree.
You know.
It should be called at least chemical.
At least chemical. What would you? No, go ahead. You were going to go. For
He
another-
wants to say poison agriculture.
Yeah, poisonous agriculture. There you
Right.
go.
Yeah, it should be. We need to make that connection. And it's completely true that true cost accounting tells you a lot about it. But that is an argument that is only going to impact a small layer of society. Whereas the message, this food is going to make your kids sick, is going to have a powerful effect on mothers out there. And that, I believe, is the lever.
Okay.
Well, we're with you on that. And in fact, we want to ask if we could help work with you on a campaign to get that information out. Because if that's the lever, then we need to do the job to get it out there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Talk to you soon then.
All right. Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Okay.